In this dream, there was a whole circle of elders, and I didn't know them. I didn't know who they were, but they were all conversing in the language, and I began to talk too, and answering them and saying, and it just came naturally.
So everybody had to be clean and clean mind and thought and heart whenever you came to your ceremonial ground.
Inga ugira hayu e lagat no mare hayu e Seminole dalwa moment nagi maktok ya moment hayu e lazy ji gori mongen obana kada no mare ozogno rando no me stress mokil kiza lana gaya moment Seminole dalwa no mat moment timasko gi embunaga moment preservation gets away to get under Mabuna Zaziguru and perpetuation. I easy mongidat. Mad Magidan Zazir. Pombana Rosi Dundon, in Imbunahu in Moidundon. Moin Ma Lakar no Mari Mosenitat. Azulage Hunga Shazoleza Hanus, Azulagi Magano, Shazoleza Hanurat. Moment in Naftera Hubuidagi, Abagi Maktugi Angerson, Te Hubuidagi at fall break music towards again. Moment someone seguro stress and haram nagafti mongit maybe about every 3 months nagafti mongit shabi yoban istit lebun sogen hayu obanagara nomade ofatsara nomade nagafti mongalis kun agitlezi angen moment mozenit noma hayu irokak tu irundos moment alezi ju gurmongit istizari do yatat moment pohaedi ibo fanga ponhishagira machine Maran nakumalga sohizira ruis. Mahogari rununga. Moin shalezi zahanduin. Moment lezi jugurmongino malgia shabageli. Moment Joe Kuhn, but he's the manager, director of this program. But migos upkat bon hahir. Moment mono at lezi tuyar.
Isagremasi porque halwi legitskat. Ja mujeneta. Semanaskasin nyt tai pommitski marochigejes ja arologa man poneiden sakisida kuahanit pomaneza hanit o agis man marochigejes man aroloitskat man stofestin jimipoji atakui jedois man jimio ma hisagedemisi kehoja man okfanga mo agisejet man madochigejes man nakmal en kislitskidoen ja Jeffrey Kislitskin madochigejes but alologa man okmislitskin madigoshin abohidoes Jesus in hojifkat mikusapkan is high met madochigejes and this boy is amen.
Amen, Mado Joe. Well, y'all want to come on in and have a seat? We'll get started. On behalf of the Seminole Nation Language Program, I'm Edwin Marshall. I'm the language practitioner. Oh yeah, language practitioner. Man huzifka tsahado hoyangarin. Moment here, obunakada nomad. You know, alakkuiji domed. Moment, you know, istizaridoya. We're not nothing without our language. There's other tribes. Tizari do is maga girundas imbunaka usagiga tizari ongot fully rundon. Punda tizari dundo in Ishazavas kidu is ma alaka moment shimalonelgi moment timasku relgit. Idaga lichinoat shimahayagi oit fully rundon nagin iskeziridagi go out as and just like Chickasaws. They're trying to relearn their language. You know, and Punda, we don't have to. Punda, we got our language is alive and well. We could lose it. So in order to not do that, the Seminole Nation made an effort to have this language program, and so we're a part of that. I just started a couple of weeks ago, Joe Emanez, and I want to also introduce other language staff. Sitting on the end of the table is Jeremy Foltz. He's our sound and I guess anything electronic. You got whether it's recording or sound or video. He's a videographer for our department. Some of y'all probably been seeing some of the videos that are coming out from the language program, and that's something that Jeremy and The next man I'm going to introduce, Mr. Delaney Pinnock. Delaney is also on our staff. He teaches a program to the, I believe it's the elementary school at Varnum. What, you got 2 classes over there, Delaney? 3 hours at Varnum. And so we try to spread our language out to our young ones through that effort right there. Joe also teaches at the high school in Seminole. He's got a class over there that teaches the high school kids. So, you know, and I'm going to be truthfully honest with you. This program was developed originally by Jennifer, what's her name? Jennifer Johnson. Jennifer Johnson had, and some other people had the vision to realize that something had to be done with our language. And they started out and they were able to acquire the use of this place here. They named it Pomahaga School, and they started their efforts that way with immersion classes and things like that. Jennifer has since moved on, and after that they got another director that was here until she felt like that she was needed to retire. So Joe took it over, and so in a sense we're just trying to keep those efforts going. So I'm proud to be a part of this staff, and I just wanted to say first of all that you know, there's a lot of efforts going on out there. I say a lot of efforts. There are some other efforts going on out there. The Muskogee Creek Nation has a language program, and they're doing some fine work over there. The College of the Muskogee Nation has a language program where they're teaching their kids. The Seminole Nation has this language program. And if you look online, I don't know how many of you look at Facebook very much, but there's some Facebook pages that people are making an effort to perpetuate our language. I'm proud to say that I have a page. It's the Muskogee. It's a Muskogee language page. What's it called? Yeah, Original Muskogee Word of the Day. And I said that I put that on there because somebody down in Georgia, somebody tried to copy me and said Muskogee Word of the Day just like mine. But I've got about 7,000 people on my Facebook page. And not only that, Joe has a page where he does the hymns of the Muskogee hymns, or Creek and Seminole hymns. He's got a big following with hers. Delaney has a page. What's it called again, Delaney? Oh, Dim Stajats. He's got a page like that. And he's got how many you got on your page? How much? 1,500. Okay, so, and you know, between the 3 of us, we reach a lot of people out there. And there's a lot of people that are of our heritage, whether it's Creek or Seminole, and they're wanting and they're hungry for our language. And that's great. That's a good thing. We have a gentleman that's with us here today, Ben Yahola. He's my cousin. Ben, his folks was from around Holdenville. That's his dad, and his mother was Minnie Yahola. We call her Manna. I'm not sure what her real name was, but she's my relatives. And even Ben, he's got a Facebook page. He uses a little puppet, and a lot of people really enjoy that. He uses the language and does that puppet work, and but you know what? I think that's a good thing, because out of all those, 3 of us work with this program right here. We're reaching a lot of people. We've got another friend. He's Seminole, David Frank, and he's got a page. He does some language, but he's focused more on the culture and the history, and he does a great job with his. And I know David would have been here today, except he's in Florida. He's living in Florida. And so anyway, having said that, I want to welcome everybody here. One of the things we wanted to theme, or we wanted to do with this, we call it a symposium, but this meeting today is we wanted to theme it around the relationships between grandparents and grandchildren. I'm going to say just a little bit about myself, and I speak from firsthand experience, and I think many of you can relate to this. In our culture, whether it was Seminole or Creek, in our culture, we included the extended family in our, back several years ago. My mother was a single parent. We were a single parent family. My mother and two sisters. We lived with my grandpa and grandma. My mom went to work every day. Me and my sister spent most of my time with my grandparents, and that was probably the best thing that could have ever happened to me. It culturally enriched me. My grandfather and my grandmother taught us so many things. Marungat no adam bunaka bunaya ko dai dal his kuwaidor moas moi maralgi bunaya ki takka gidunga marigo singil sai raza zoldo angare moment maha zo galera lezi sayo tet ke bunaka lezi sto emaran isti moaga solgiros koero isti dimbuna hoyad amazoga wahane folat no mare moi maga again onga kezeno ananyo chamar bosi roadi is maga again. I was raised in that with that cultural background. My grandfather and grandmother, especially my grandfather, had a background in the ceremonial world, and up until he converted in the 1940s, he was a leader of the ceremonial ground. He was a speaker. He least what as high not more then when he converted, it wasn't long because I think it was just in his nature. He's we madajan moment shongito dirundun moment 1976 shongito mas moajan he I had an opportunity to learn so much from my grandparents. Samoa dirundun hayuar agiltazat pombidagir no mare moment ibos halgit abakagigor hungad Ubunaya agad engiltigo nakunaya agad engiltigo noad pidag muy ponaka muy ponsongidaro nagiltaza. That's why we decided to discuss that subject today. Honga hayui istio habogad. I asked him to sit up front today, and we're gonna have a short discussion because I said we was gonna have potluck today. So we're gonna break close to noon, and then we're gonna have lunch. Then after lunch we'll have some other speakers as we go along. And as you listen to the stories, I'd like for you to kind of relate to that. And that's another thing. This is an open mic. If you hear them say something, or if they say something and you'd like to comment on it, don't be afraid to raise your hand, because that's how we're going to share with one another. Onga alezi izagorimongen hayued. Okilkizera gozogna zando este okilkiza is komeze hayo man mizedunga moment al hayo lezi zando azeli oxad moment Jerry Hayne electunga moment iona hit but I want to do one thing. I want to pass the mic around first. I want you to introduce yourself. Everybody that's in here, introduce yourself to the extent that you know. Tell me your name. And this is the way of Indians. Tell us who your folks are. Because when Indians introduce each other, Creeks, Seminoles, I'd like to go around the room and do that first. And tell me what your band is, what your tribal town is, what your clan is, if you know it. If you don't worry about it. Just tell me what you can about yourself, and then we're going to pass this around, and then we'll get started with Jerry. I'm going to start right here.
My name is Sierra, and this is my daughter Jocelyn. My mom is Terry Haney, and my papa is Jerry Haney. We are Bird Clan and Hajiti Band.
That's great. See there, she's been told, and that's the way when I was growing up. From the time I was this big, I was told what I was. And so I always knew. I was about, you're my sister. I'm Bird Clan. And Togobachi Tribal Town. And so that's good to know. And it's good that you know that.
My name is Rachel Colander, and I am Hispanic. My father's name is Ricardo Castro, and my mother's name is Teresa. And I am Peyton Hart's aunt and guardian, and he attends Mr. Mr. Kuhn's class at the Seminole High School.
I'm Peyton, but I'm not native, but I want to learn the language anyways. I think it's pretty cool. My parents are Rachel and Johnny Colander.
I've heard about you. Joe talks about you. He said, you know, I got all these kids in my class and some of them's native, but I got one boy. He's not native, but he seems more interested than everybody else. But you know what? If you're Hispanic, you are native. Okay? Oh, you're not. Okay. You are. Okay, but you're native as well. Because I don't care what kind of...
I'm from a tribe known as Oaxaca, from Mexico.
Oh, Oaxaca? Yeah.
That's where my ancestry comes
Oh, great. All right. You know that Donald Trump's trying to close up the borders and build a wall, but the native people of Mexico, they were no different than us at one time. That's all a European concept, that wall. So when I see Hispanic people, I consider them to be native brothers just like everybody else. Hey, look here. Would you tell me your name? Tell me what band, what clan?
I don't know anything.
That's fine.
Hey, love.
Tell us who your folks are.
Okay, yes. My name is Gwen Postoke. I work for the Chickasaw Nation. I'm a fine arts instructor. I teach art to young people. I'm from the Newcomer Band. I'm a member of the Ngozi clan. My parents are Newman and Susanna Factor and the late Winnie Mae Tiger. I know some of you probably know my relatives. My grandma and grandpa were Tony and Yana Factor. My grandma was an Imarthali from around the Conowal area. And so I've got a lot of kinfolks from this side of the river. And I work for the Chickasaw Nation, but my boss is very supportive of learning and gaining more information about our culture, because as an art instructor, we try to implement those ideas into visual art so that we encourage our young people to know more about who they are and about their own people. So I'm here to learn. Joe's been a friend of mine for years, as Mr. Marshall is too. So it's good to be here, and I'm hoping to gain some new information to take back with them, especially that intergenerational gap that we have, and I'd like to be able to, and I'd like to be able to kind of fill that with visual arts, you know, because our people are very artistic people and they express themselves through art. So that's why I'm here.
I'm glad you're here, Gwen. You know, Gwen is a good example of how the Chickasaw Nation are making efforts to revive their culture, but people like Gwen, I've got a step cousin. He's not really my cousin, but he was my cousin's stepson. His name's Buddy Parchcon. What's Buddy's real name? Buddy. Anyway. Okay, you want to know what I call him? Okay. Anyway, we called him Wally or Buddy when he was growing up, but I consider him my cousin. But he's married in over there. Let's see, his wife's Greek too, isn't she? Yeah. But they both work in their cultural department over at the cultural center, and they contribute as much over there as anybody does to helping the Chickasaws revive their culture. And
Well, my side job, I got a second job too. I'm also a cultural instructor for the Chickasaw Nation. So on weekends, I go out there and I share culture with them as well too. So,
you know, the Chickasaws, they've revived their ceremonial dancing, and they'd lost it for years and years. But it was revived by a Creek Seminole member, Farron Cully. He helped them to revive that. And so, anyway, I wanted to put that in there.
I'm Abilene Kuhn Fletcher, and Joe Kuhn is my brother.
You have to tell that.
Well, anyway, we had 10 brothers and two girls. So now we're down to 7 boys and 2 girls. And we belong to the, we were Tallahassee and Putskit, Tallahassee do de Dundas and Arizona here Salagayovan and Nakti Ojiji Donchis Chakahojan. That's what I guess we're on that now. I don't know how got to be like that. And we're the halbada Ruiz, mahuganang. And kasi punahang gayit mat sasakwapatsin awidondos holden vela kanawa Seminole and nakte ya abogat kisa rondasen ya manita ko sa kisa ka kundo stingil and nakte man. I'm glad to be here and I enjoy this and Arizona lagayo when state and Bonego down. And my brother, I don't know how to say brother either. But anyway, he lived on one side of town, I lived on the other side of town, so I hardly ever saw him. And I lived out there about 20 years, and I almost forgot the language. But anyway, I know these ladies over here and the man.
Maru. You know, nakubuna istok na tan hobay lalagen ubuna kades puhakod. Magin isti pumistogi sugi dana zuid moida bugides in Los Angeles, California, and got Dallas, Texas, and Chicago. Ubuna kadat sabu ya ko silin sinarut kita duizezin mafatsanaya dirun puhakod hofoni hage puhako hagal. Sahuso sahagidos makakad isti sogi puhe diron moina gitlasak no din samiltakoidan because you know nagin uzigo nagit chakatski rongat chastimilko irundos ikon igiltasak no station. If you got your culture, you're very rich. You know, we take it for granted every weekend. Tisarogi dagatihiza girimbuna huid idimafaskid fully we're very rich in that way. Honga nak muy makalag azagil tezi best on no way no. Isti malakko sit pumalak to irundor. Here iona ilana to no mare honga tisado girundo nagi ida fatsan honga ida istisari abokan abagil undo asigirundon amiyun na dohare na chimuna hanak to sayuat.
I'm Nada Sullivan from Tuscaloosa, Alabama. My family is the Taylors, Sullivans, Robertsons, Coombs, and the Browns. I'm not sure of the clan, but most of my family is Muskogee Creek. Quite a few people. That's about it.
Ben Yahola Joseph Kuran. Who has Tashikia Joseph man man Salaki is out of Kata Homate Joseph Joseph Hode Chocolako Alabama Kwasadi Dalvolega Chocolako. And then so I'm Kachalge and I used to work in Brighton, Florida past 2 years. Shamokhagi, but now I'm beginning to say I'm Panther Clan. Yada that Tiger Clan, my and but out there they say Panther. So my Boshi Duibiga. And then so Chaske Hodal Galge. He was Wind Clan, my dad. And my search for the language and what it's all about takes me to way up north to the Algonquin speakers, up in that area, cause mainly I kept reading something about how Togobachulgis were from the Great Lakes region and came down and joined the Muskogulgi. And I go up there way up in Canada and talk to them about the language. Some of the ways they pronounce certain words seem similar to the way I've heard them. My dad being Tokobachi and my mom's Kwashade. So, but we got more of that, and I got more of that, his way of talking. And people were saying, Tokobachi talk different. I guess that's why it was, we say things a little bit different because of that. But I think now we're getting into where everybody's getting to be like a common way of speaking. But every now and then, somebody from like the Arabic people or New Yaga, they'll say, "Oh, that's not the way you say it." But then I'll say, "Well, that's the way I heard it." So I just say it the way I heard it. So, and then I find out that we have all these different ways of, like family. Madigos.
Maro Ben nagmak to girundon moment istit. Timalakurit punayaga unga nagi makaga timalakurit makaga sasidundos magin agislazen ma ufasel nomanis. Sugin agislazen pumuido no kuirundo hanga just unga stades aliskin. Migusupka zokodes unga chokolakodes tuid aliskin. Then Tamai legitino no in Hobai, Risti, Manabogi, Yeziro no Rimbuna, Hoyaboga, Hili Mabo Hetsnan, Nakpo Malakuri, Ponaya, Sazidundon, Moira Hanga, and Hishit, Timaruki Wilagi don. Obunagazulagat, Kisluid, Ungad Iskin, Imahairin, Undon, Moi Timbutizari Bunagagin, Dimbunaho, Wilagi don, Ahanga Timbunaho again, Imunado, Moir. Uharuba lo Jose ro kuilet kezen achahisil. Uharuba sagazen uharuba. Uharuba lo kuilen. Avana gaes kezen ta taiguro sagazen no tuino sagazen. Utubaragi dos. Utubaragi lo Jose ro kuilitin. Ya utubaragi yerun no magen. Anda moya maha huigarin no marad. Uharuba. Magidon no tuba magidon nunga. Kezit shirinixin. Moat unabo zata nagin maxilo magin ohabita rundos kezen ha mamero haruba rundos moya stongoro obunakala no mare it's a good language. It's a doing as it's a dynamic language. Timalakuri then idimbona hoya timalakuri bona gidon tongoro is unga hayuat. We're going to move on.
My name is Angela Marshall. I work for the communication department for the Seminole Nation. My grandparents are Sam and Lucille Johnson. And my mom and dad is Chuck and Christy Johnson from Wewoka. Ocheesy Band and Beaver Clan.
Very good. Is that Soft Eli Sam Johnson? Yep. Same one? Yep. Tell him I need a jar.
SJ Bo White Killer Chow Chuk Fidos Ijugogi Toyas Richard and Irene Bemos, my grandparents, and also on my dad's side, Jeet and Lizzie Bat White Killer from Katuas up in northeast part of the state. It's just an honor to be here. At first I was going to say my name is Elizabeth Warren and I'm Cherokee, but we'll keep that on the down low. But it's just a good thing to have here, and I appreciate the opportunity and look forward to listening and learning.
Bo.
Rodney Factor, Troy Kudos. From the Tussica Harjo band, but we derive from the Oconees out of Florida. And my clan is Alligator. My family is, I'm from the Factors in south of, or around Sasakwa and Connemara area in the middle.
Middle, Rod.
Hey. My name is Bill. Bill Davis, Jehovah Kudons. My mother is Carrie. Hello? Oh, my mother is Carrie Floyd of Hannah. My dad is Benny Davis of Holdenville, Sasakwa area. I'm with Hudalalu, and I guess my ceremonial grounds would be Ajinhachi. And I'm the vice chairman of the Oklahoma City Creek Association. And we're trying to build up our cultural enrichment classes and youth programs and things like that. So I'm kind of venturing out to see where all the meanings are, what the lessons are all about, and so I can take that back and teach our kids in Oklahoma City, because we've got some lost tribes in Oklahoma City, and a lot of Seminole tribal members will come to our groups. We have a cultural enrichment class every. We have a cultural enrichment class every Thursday night until the middle of November, and Mr. Joe Kuhn leads our hymn singing class third Tuesday of each month. So, but he was.
Madhu, I'm going to take you over to our cameraman.
Stongo Delaney Pinnock Cheho Chifkados Hodo Golgi Doe Ojizi Amalegados Chuchki Angela Pinnock Kochifkit Chabuji Deborah Pinnock Harjo Ichki Dottie Josephine Harjo Yarborough Yafacha Chanahamgi Abogidois Jokun Language Department Abagayat Sajafatski Mahis Mado
Delaney. You know, we got a lot of examples. The people that it's not their first language. We got a lot of people that are really wanting to learn. They're really learning it, and we got a young man. What's his name? He used to work in the language program. I think he works in one of the schools now. Kevin feels Kevin, he's a good example. And you know, Kevin is rather accomplished, but this wasn't his first language. You know, we got people all over the place like that. They're really wanting to learn, and it seems like sometimes guys like this, they're interested and they learn it and they pick it up. So that's a good thing. And whatever we got to do to perpetuate it. You know.
There's a young man. Many of you may know him. He's our Creek brother, but he goes to school at Yale.
Oh yeah, J5.
He's learned a lot.
He's another one. I saw J5 grow up from a little kid, and in high school he was very interested in the language, and now he's going to Yale, and linguistics I think is one of his majors or one of his minors, but he's very accomplished in his language as well, and he and I communicate pretty regular as well. Joe?
Joe Kuhn, Joe Jifkados, Punaga in Homatat always, but yeah, Adot Kagat man. Delaney, I Jesus over. When I was young, I didn't speak. I haven't spoken for some 50 years, and Delaney was the one. I almost died, and my daughter said, you ought to go back to school and be a teacher and learn, how to teach and coach. And I said, yeah, it's a good plan. So when I went to school, I ran into Delaney, and he sat next to me, and he said, yeah, you're Seminole, ain't you? I said, yeah. He said, do you know how to say this? And then I said, I tell him, and I write it down. I always knew how to write. I always could understand everything, but I never spoke it. And so he kept asking. I said, what are you doing anyway, Delaney? He said, I'm trying to learn my language. And I said, well, how you learn it? He said, I read the dictionary. And I thought, here I am. I know the language, and I'm not doing nothing with it. And so he gave me some stuff, and he kept encouraging me, and so I relearned it, and I can't speak it well. And my first part of when I relearned it, people would just laugh at me when I say something, knock my game out, I'll be lazy, and so I had to get over that part. And once I got over that part, well, I started learning faster and faster. I made my turn. One night when I was dreaming, my mother had been gone since '98 or '99, somewhere around there. We both got bad memories, we don't know when things happened, But anyway, my mom passed away, and then when I started relearning my language about 2008, my mind and my Liski and I had a dream that I was sitting next to my mother, and in this dream there was a whole circle of elders, and I didn't know them. I didn't know who they were, but they were all conversing in the language, and I began to talk too, and answering them and saying, and it just came naturally. And I thought, you know what, I can do this, you know. So I got studying, got books, tapes, everything I could find, and I relearned the language. I still can't talk real good, but through the things that I've seen and met, I met him in the city. I knew he did absolutely good work, and I knew Delaney was very persistent, and that he wanted to learn. And Edwin, I met him at the OAP, and I think that's where it was, at OAP, and then I thought, man, he talks good. One of these days, maybe I talk that good. He si mahen po na iron don mo ano yo man moin po na ida jayaston man. That's why I'm here. And so we have a the different thing about this crew is everybody is passionate about language. Jeremy's passionate about learning the language, and he learns fast. Say a word. Word. He knows Sadokida. He knows Hokchida. But that's what's good about this crew is everybody is passionate about what they do, and so that makes my job easy. And so I am passionate too that they're helping me. That we're learning from each other. If I say something wrong, he'll correct me and he'll put me on the right path. And one of those words was I always heard this word that sijida, you know, and that's the way I heard it, you know. And I was telling Edwin, I said sijida. He said, it's hijida. And I said, oh, I always heard it sijida, you know. So he corrected me, and we go on, you know. So I got over the fear of being laughed at.
Before I go on, I overlooked Jeremy. He's hiding behind this equipment, and I overlooked him.
Yeah, if I can hide behind that, I must be doing good. Jeremy Fulch, Jahel Jifkados, Kalechi Tribal Town, Gachogi, Amalagadados, Jogothako Halabi, Tezagai, Geojifkit, Gachahetkidos. My grandpa and grandma was Johnson and Christine Roberts, pastors of Middle Creek number 1. And I grew up in around Dustin, Wetumpka area. So, Bado.
You know, back to the subject of Katsalgi. Ben actually is right, and we're technically not tiger if you're Katsalgi. You're panther, because obviously we didn't have tigers here a long time ago. So the actual clan is panther, but people have said they use that word along with panther. Tiger and panther it's the same word, so people want to say I'm Tiger Clan, but actually it is panther. Panther. Katsogidur Magnoad. It's a panther clan. Who is here? Yeah.
That's what I know. Hole na baran history Holy pescando Amakarosano. It's good to be here. I know we want to talk Indian and English too, but we know we're mixed. Makitlaga. Yeah, my granddaughter, but Puneda Gundazin. Hila Maneza Gorazin. Yo, me judging. Manesa go man, do I yet? But willing, not Obaneda Yatidue. My Yokov Kidos, that's that heating that. Them Indians or something like not Muyo Magino. Lives to Jats. Most anyhow, Edmund Oid, I just let it do it. Harajis kosi. Magazuko ayat. Yagis katutsin at mine atsinat. Man azakazul dumas. Harajis kosi. Magazuko ayat. Haine school keosin. Ayemas. Masan azuli beat. Azuli alt. Kitlayang chaskazuli angin. Mazak was it. Who's it for it in the Haine community keosin. Man azakazul dini. That was Haine community there, where I went to school. And I was a grown man before I found out that was named after my dad. But however, I asked my mother about that, and I heard about that, Maggie much. Well, she didn't know for sure, but what I found was it was documented in state history that's where that was. There was a post office there in 1917. I must have been 5 or 6 years old, my dude. December days get it on it. I had not mocked away key days ago. Not call you Mahayo get on go. Mother had I yak hungers. Tell me such a bit who I get to rising. BIA social worker gets a rat. This Pemulimus. So then, I take it towards it. All day days it. Sack of the organ. East of back in. Tell me that I keep this. I see you in school, my so papa elect you must. But this way, who you must. Some minutes no wasn't. Malayan 41 that is. I among in 1948. Mahazo, I could tag you much. I could tuck in Jones Academy. Man, as I did working. Man, 1 year out of you much Jones Academy. But Jones Academy, chat target on a chicken target on go. Honan target everything was Portuguese a big old. Munga, hang it, it must get as also no ad. Gang fast, because I don't know. Man, Satagiran, Chigasagit, Haram, Najumsi doing Seminole, Haramaskoga, okay, Najumsi Demas. Hara city boy, I read only in Punafkagan, what will be hungers in Ahyad, Salakat, Saskazulmanado, Tokoro. Yarana answer Tagis man, Mucking, Inga gets in. Next year, school, Alagat. First time, Sitka Moya, Baga, cigarette. Mahazoyan, a lazy lady to Struthers. Man, I was in junior high then, Munga. Man, Sally just said, Man, Haraman. Man, I'm bossing. He said it in Munga. Not king over the Latka didn't know. Well, the tongue stung my going. 62 years, how you will like it all.
Mark Johnson, now my son. Get your boy, she would like. I'm more than I get how you spent the rest of your life with her.
Well, now when I was like, Tizaragit, Manategirunga. I know to do much, the one and give like you. He's in a Zakazul do much. Man, state yok to young, I told it on. Back then, all girls, Tizar Mahirumus, Hoctalagio, Tizaragio, Margaret Tizar Bonai for it, Skinagares, Skinaganas, Tizarin. Iskina hectares. Oh, Margaret, these are my rumors. Mason, you're not because they're lucky. Dinga sing holiday hat. You have how we $6 around hockey much. Jerry, these are guys much. Oh, they know Hayat San Juan Square. Tokora, say some more time, eh? Laggy gets in. Simon, there's so much. Meste hockte jag baxen här och linsi rut kesa gade se. Maar, så hur det sig runga. I'm bossy mona you mungiri. Mapo lady go ahead. Moisin, moin. I'm a seat to and that I guess I asked for it because so I hope to get in when I in that on the bucket here. But anyhow, break that down in plain English. I'm going to tell you what happened. I always kind of thought it was funny was because I went to school at Struthers. But before then, when I went to Indian school, the slogan at the all-boys school, this is what boarding school were all boys in, the ones that I went to. And the slogan of the Bureau of Indian Affairs was to kill the Indian and save the man. Therefore, to take the Indian out of him and assimilate him into the white man's society. That was the main purpose of it. And I guess it done a pretty good job. So when I went to school with the white people, I fell in love with this white girl. This white girl, she came to visit me at the church one day. We're walking across the campus, and this old Indian lady collared at me and said, "Come here." She's talking in Indian. I went over there, and she told me, she says, "Jerry," said, "if you marry that white woman, you'll have to go to work." Well, I remind my wife of that all the time. I tell her I should have listened to that old lady. But it's too late now since we've been together for over 62 years. So anyhow, that was always funny. Boy, when I was a kid, I double zagging Martin if you want it. Moin, Tutsin fully much. Is it Migurip Kazoa? Akubanat. We're about the same age. Terry Littleton, Andon Hada, Yamageo, the Atimas, Adi Mungari, Charles Hinninghall, Morocco, Akuban fully much. Take you to his again, hang it. Is he hit? I'm a building go, hang it all right. She must be good. She will let talk horse. Well, not more right. I get that, eh? Just a low night. I will get hired. Hiring is full like it.
Yeah.
I kind of miss that. So.
Yeah. Well, no. Fatsalagi Bahaniga, Idin Humbahani Dwajan, let's real quickly introduce ourselves and then we'll take a break.
Okay. Jahujivka, LMA Panoki, Coleman Undoez. And legged at Mad Deer Clandon, my Dalwat Mad Ochizi Band Undoez. Judgkid Adi Mad Hattie Coker Cole Hujifka Doadi. Judgkid Mad Joe Panoki Junior Doadi. Jabuzi ma Ichki, Judgki ma Ichki Mad Emma Sul Coker Doadi. Holdenville Fatsaman Adid Man Jabuja Man Dibaga Dido. Jabuja Mad Richmond Coker Doadi. Ilkid met Dave Cokerdon had his grandfather met London Cokerdoity. Moin hayuin abugagan. Hithos hayun man minitegi alakan man bonayagan man gitlezidan. Anio chajut kozov hayu bonayda ma diguzim man bohead jahok daladido man momez. Man mahagajo alleged ayov man gitlagad man anaham gege man sihit ki bonaga gitlagad sema buhagan bonayen bumahayadagat ajahan hoen olim bonachidundos man fitan osancha dege sage hoden auditorium and ajose hotin man lege doemat dajago ost jackie bemahen moed alin Momes, my state gibunagan man kitlay doemat. Momes, hayuin man anyo mo hobay nahit Washington D.C. fatsin ahit la lake doemat. Bali hokolad hoan eben lalak doemat. Momes, man hayuin hobay ayak ni stairs. Seminole legades, Musco gegades, man adut gaga full-lagad, man digi lagad. Man din bona hoi demat moen bones kunad stin habilki hagida and Mo hada nak makta des dia man gilin don duak nis des ageletskat mo este jukwa hilin mahin man magis kuda este haida dos moes istia balwan man imbonagak nad man hayuen man bonagad sten hilion hagedot moes man nagin chimaneda jato man mahaga jago man already magan stores at abilgan man hide man bomanaya man Pleasant Grove School man alin man lispordo amats 12 years stijade ge so gid man full lagido amats Pleasant Grove man state gege mahayege man bonaga man gilhada yajagad man hokta gozege man bonaga gilhagad man Nagin hey na makta dundua mang stin bohagen man hokta gojegen man monagen a stores I get lagid man hangi hokte se kokte man mahayet man hoktoji man makta man hokta gojegen man mahayaga de door and nita hangin man hey na okobona ganad na hayin oklekta hayin boloksin man abogachet man hokta gojege hada jibana jege man tokalgen nak okonaganat man atlakam man abogan hokta gojege dimbonawan mahayadogad hoktu jege jayagas geded hokta gojege o lena bilagen next time jibile zakto atsagen teacher you called us farts not little girls get So you have to, say our words, precisely because we have so many words that sound so close together, that when you say hoktuji and hoktuji, that's it. You've got to be careful what you say. So anyhow, I just want to say that to you all. And Delaney, I just want to applaud you. You've done very well, and you presented yourself well, and you just continue learning. Jimmy, Jabon, you too. And you just continue on wanting to learn the language because it's going to be up to you and your little girl to continue our language. And there's so many words that I have lost during these past few years, because a lot of descriptions of insects or even trees or leaves, there's a lot of things that I think if I heard it, I would be able to think back on it and recognize it. But just to come up with it, sometimes people will ask, how do you say this? And you have to think about that for a little while, before you can think of the word. But anyhow, my church, Amigos of Kajuguman, Hilltop Presbyterian Church, dos we welcome. And Joe Lakon met New Tulsa unlekta dos. And my day was in Maga.
Nga. Presbyterian Maga. Fischkalgi dongo. Fischkalgi Maga dongo. Sprinklers. On a Methodist, poured water on them. Oh, Baptist, Aksungal, they sink them in the water. Inga.
Istila wagi bewede do. Chahojis kani ona het. I'm Eloise Factor and Tessagia Band and my clan is Alligator, Halbada. Honwagat Maridi and Jetskeg Benefactor and Jetskeg Feeney Kozer. And my grandpa was Marchie Factor and Bessie Harjo. That was my dad, mom and dad. And my mom's Iskit Lopi Kozer and Iskit Sofini Powell. Madawadi that's Madigos in Gislaga. So Yapona Gazayato New States and Humbipo Hada.
Yeah, Hada,
Stop right there.
Mois nak magazazat. Ella Iona and Bohayat, Hada Chin Iona Bohayat, Chiboshogi, Chibosazulagan, nakamuwakat iyon ayiskat tizari maidadat pubusogi moy pamahaya get purak kaboyet yat marundos che yat chibuzarundo yat chibuzazuliruang yat chichkuzirundo yat chinahamgirundo magi pona pombone agat Ted punaham giruat kilhoyairun istisogirun kilhoyairun duan moy monahui gare sometime isti inaham gi mausa idi bayagash he's a girundur. That's the effect that we're talking about of our grandparents teaching us the culture. Hilimai maktun se hara agiltazat. You and Ella yokin to everybody in Seminole Nation, I think. You guys say. Go ahead, Dolores.
And Dolores Denzi Ralston, met Hodifkadan Chachkagit, met Jana Fixico Denzi, and my dad was Philip J. Denzi, and Chabozit met Fanny Factor doing met Fixico, and then Chaboja met my dad's father was Jackson R. Denzi, Tehitki, and then Amadewit Ajinahati Talsit Madundus had a Chafki in Mat Keleji Dodos, and Octatagin Duen had a Chafki Mat Nukuzegi Domats. So, Marigusin market, we're gonna.
Nak said we was talking about that a while ago. Aktayat Sogir, Matsabuza Maduang, Aktayat Sogir. He states Aktayat Sogir Nazur's Magan. It is, but there's pockets of people, families. I was telling her the Yargis. Alabama Ceremonial Ground, there's a big family of them, and them Yargis, their grandma was my grandpa's sister, and I knew there's a bunch of them Aktayat Sogi. Ben Magit Sejiot moment Tashigayan Huzifka Magit Seji my Hungary got a Tarpidund Aktayat Chistuarund or some of them one of them got a name like that. Anyway, so they're out there and that was another thing. China humgit chara dilobota talgusigot. Chimalegidat nagidonoad idi baida dogorish mahogade. See, we followed those kind of things, but it's noon. We got some good food in there. People brought some good food. We got sofke, we got blue bread, we got red beans, we got sakunipki. I seen some buski in there, and so we're going to take a break. And I'm not a sexist. Istid mo tizaridat imaidadat moidundus kuhuiveridis pumaidadundun. It's been that way for thousands of years, and it's not that we discriminate. It's that we have a societal structure, and there's some things that it's left for a man to do, some things is left for a woman. So we've got some food in there. We got a little bit of preparing to do in there. So the young ladies, if y'all could kind of get that thing set up in there and let the elders, we'll be in there just in a little bit. Y'all get us set up and we'll have lunch. And before we do, I'm going to ask you, Miss Factor, if you'd bless the food for us. And when we come back after lunch, we're still not into our discussion, but we're going to get into it more.
Imahayeg mogen nog meslagisken. Idi mahayid hajegis kova bikuni bahanio. Momes hayomi ogida lagen nabis hodaglegi di dagat. Hobidagi di dagi jagar mogen chimil koyagisken. Kunabe soy mane tahani mado chike chimigo sabe chihoje fada de china da ham go on this boys. Amen.
Tui isti hetkeksi, tui kieseli dona, että se mun ahoi roa maakin. Se hea mun ahoi yksi kaisen. Tui se mun ahoi roa kaisen. Kesi rapoihin. Forum Oct, the only history we have. Christopher Columbus, alabani ruis, pishkona bekit. Pishkona zomin, zakhullin alakit. Tiedätkö, mä en hän siiskossa mieseli ruis. Maakin Toma ahoi ruis kaisen. Onnonko mua, että tuin omistelmies tuin how did he treat our people? Magi ambohen. Mana pumaha uigulas no ni naksugin pumahaya ya pun hiskizag yesri duis as an taigun si maha uya de magi mat. Alizishkan nomade. Christopher Columbus no uruadi duis. Ishte iga 인간을 보고 야비 우착착이 예자기도 지시대 하하고지 이가 라네기는 이시티 로베자기는 하유 예자 이보 예지고 뭔게 필터 뭔가 위에 까나까보기 뭔게 본모하가 되는 하유 지니스토이스 올라와보지 아 필터 아니기 혼내야 나콤베로와 이보나 히톤 아데스칸 짐보 합도이스 케지 이보 예자기도 They didn't just come on the shore. They asked permission. Omohake, Tungudu is Ketsi, Aharabitsi, Hombagizi, Hombeladez, Initskizi, Tlayik Sagipit. Butlulubi Anazoid Pumabogi. Maybe 5 or 10 years, boy. Tlayik Sagipit, Monoat. Then Puliran Eden Abi Puluya, Ayuata Rabi Bandu is still. Moes, pun hishi, tizari pun hishi no iskabonin, pun lubes swaps window. Onga ma nakkat, shizi nakwiza nak to is makke, nak sogi pumagani nuis, pisho o how, ski umani pulat, nak pumagani nuis, nak onga, man harizish kadwani nuis, magin, moed mahugi go nuis, kezen, moed, Christopher Columbus dwani nuis, mahugi nuis, kezen, taigon, limi homan, Yezali dois. Mortizadel, Hosivavata, Miguelis Hoge, Desaradis, Ketumas, Miguelis Hoge. Miguelis Hoge, Ponyese, Pomahu, Abibadi dois. Istilo Bezagidon. Or then Poland, Abibadi, Moban, Abib Popen. Ogeda, Azewe Hagai, Christopher Columbus, Yamaha, Yahigan Mouse at Allegigot. I said, South America men akalaga di doon, shongi doon, ilawid, ma nagin, siyumagi polari, imbugagi be. Nobody basan kahana ma yesit, mo ma iga na tijari akabugi dadi, mo ma tijari o, imbugi go di ahana bitche, tijari na gozaga, injawagi, inhultubagi. Tizani abawares, Pashari, Miza Luis, Simona Hoyoa Market, Hongo Luis Kesen. Now, Amunaya Ibusogi, Imunayagadi, Ibusogi, Imunayagadi, legend Gangosendo, Man Unaha, Mui Roani Luis, Honga Tai, Uzima, Hoyondos Market. In Harisiska, Injamin Hongemai, What history started changing. Malaki hakke, stui doani dois makke. Unga ta hayon, tiad kau di agri jangan moi. Harijiska, tiad ki yetsa Norseman, basic yet stored in Harashiske hakke. From Norway, Vikings, Malay. Harijisko sama yezarin. Maru mame ori nunos magis pismai lezake. That was the same story my grandpa told me. My grandpa knew it before they ever changed it. Boy, that onga, that oral history, that oral legend, mahoa, That's decided that they had a firm commander, and it was through that oral history and that oral legend that Pumistoge, na nakozides, nagi history des, nagi nakmowaga Puminogades, Pumalangides, Ohotsiwo, Pumunayagade, it was handed down generation to generation. Moido Adinonoan. Decided Nagin Homokinagio, Nagin Gistagigo, Chumadas, Gistagigo. Boko Huinanders, and I think our people was a lot smarter than the people that thought that our people didn't know anything. Mamuan, I've read a little bit about our ancient civilization in the southeast, in the temple mounds and things like that. Our people knew religion way before Christianity came. Isabi naman siya makis and Nakamawagas, and they had civilized societies with big cities, and they had agricultural knowledge. They knew how to raise crops, and they knew how to take care of our communities. Moi doa didn't do it, moi we were led to believe that maybe we were just uncivilized. Moi azazuli I thought about it, made me do a lot of thinking. Nakmoaga punsung gibinuno. Huwag dagi. Pumasulagi imamo hezi, dongga timabo ino. Azulagi huwag ako si musos na ako si nakimahayat. Moi abo ka neste kaya nakmalakagibig. Azulagi ka. Ida na buhoy, nursing home there, na buhoy. Pila ko sila, nanging bisa ko siguro. Baka ka siguro, isa ako sa nanging mamaha ko na manigo sa kitari. Kayo yaso lang iba, kung muna ka des, nakamuwakan. Kung sungkit ko yun doon, mua ka nakkan. Marsata hizi, aso lang yung timanik tawdi. Ili naham yung story ko na, nagi nakka story, tisari story doon yung mga man nakamuwakan. Sata hizi, man nakakaya po na yung siya, mao kasi. Man, o nga mao ang man, kung mosenito nakapilo yun doon. Agifesis ka, si magifesis ka, story, sa zutko story doon was pumusaw yung patsada. O nga, nagit, story na yan si July was at tono stress, it don't matter. So, mahakaso, o nga, kasi na siya we go some physical day. Only as he said, you're not both, the same things apply. And how do not so much up for it, only as he said, decided that our relationships, but it was still the same. More than the Nakmawaras, one easy snap there is going west, but not to do with it has a Sindagyo, si Magifesto Jackson, that Simusagi, Stewie do I Stewie Naxima, Yakadino, Nakunaga, there's all access on what Simulitans high school at West, Ayuan, Malak, and the Rapido. I guess as is Kanagi, as Market as Yasnoa, Chingi go up, and I guess you Mona, as you Barnet, and as you Skidaya. On that Simusagi, Tuiga, abni mabogire kone dalawan mo, naire siya sa mawili tamko si Chris. Anga, iligtan isto ayon do ayo. Ani ona sto that sumanakta ge. Kung aga sok no sino pa ya. Abuiska, mage kami mage siya. Which can nagin, these are got dreams and visions that we have. Sometimes they shed light on some things we've been thinking about. I told you that. Yeah, hayo nagin. Banga kare ya. Nagin kisi de siya semua. Ilo oza rakyo. Abok kada ay niko dakta. You can dream about these things.
but ask for help from Edo Oza, Edo, Puebla, Edo Takoi like that. Like there's a spirit in the trees, and this guy in the Getetska. And all these things when you, like I was told, Istijari in Bonaga, if that's Yasnoa, Yahayo, Manaki, Shimahai. If you want to learn how to talk, you go to the woods, go stand on a stump, you become that tree. Manopweste. Ito taksabakwa, Chin Mistal Gioi, in Bonadotas, Magit Amanaho, but it wouldn't get more Amanagan. If one get say, Minnesota, what's an Alta, Istidari Bonaka. When I was up there was nobody I could talk to. The trees were there, I could talk to the trees. And so that was always something that was good for me. And plus it was helping me think a little bit more into, I guess you could call it the natural world. Nagamaga, Buhayadi, Lopanga, Jaganamizi, Hayadida, Nagid, Hajomet, Injizapkiba. Man, we're to that. Hayome, Indixiosa. Man, so everything that the Creator made, and that it still has that spirit in it. But he does. The trees, the skies, and Man, again, there's a guy. The things in the wind, the microbial organisms. When we breathe that microbial organism inside, we're not holding man over. This position. And then when it comes out again, there's another part that's added to it that comes from the individual. A little bitty tiny one. Then it floats around out there from old ancient times. It's still out here. And that's what the Stiettis found out. The Indians already knew these kind of things. Traditional ecological knowledge. Tech, they call it. Stijari tech. So, understanding that, Yahadam Nagi Kilis Yasma Man Tambusiloi, so it's still that particular microbial organism is from that one person is still floating around out here. Sometimes somebody will take it in, and then that whole thing starts to build inside the universe that you stand with. So all these things have that. According to the way I kind of understood what they were talking about. And even though, like Chukwalakko, Donna, Turner Scott, I talked to him about stuff like that. And even though he don't have a master's or anything degree, but when you talk to those old ones, they really kind of gives you some insight. And it's like you're talking to a professor who already knows, who studied this stuff, but this one's just like natural knowledge that comes from just living and thinking. So, but I wanted to, like the dreams, just one more thing. My mom said that when she was growing up, she wanted to learn how to read. But even though she could understand and talk to the language, she didn't. She always wanted to learn how to read. And one night, she had a dream when she was out in the woods fasting. And she said, then when she left, she opened that book right to that page, and the Bible, and she started reading. From there on, it just kept going. But it's that connection, that spiritual connection. That's where I was thinking. But, that was her experience. I just want to share that.
Maro Ben, mama was at Owen, Baksangi Jody Baksilim Bonahoen. Sabozara Mona idiomas. And before that, I told you he was a ceremonial man. Moet Nagamuna Ido Nagan Stimbuivik so Fatsangan Alakan. Moment Yik says it no mare. Two of an Aida do it. Maktugimas, Ben Mamaus and Magirundon. Me and Joe was talking about yesterday, and two of an Aida Nita Ducines hosters. Two of an Legan. Mikusabet, Yaheget, Agistejet, Legen, Sugalako, Okonaye, Undoesen, Man Moad, Tilubuti, Sugalako, understanding, Magidat, Aniskadiduis, Magit, Onaidu, Madad, Nakmui, Mauso, Ben, Onadu Girandol. Onga, Ishtizari that, Ya Nagi, nature goes, and that we have a closer connection than anybody else. Onga, Ahanga Moy Chimalunel, Yazakalen, Fort Pike, Fort Pike, Tundua, in New Orleans. Tizarel, Shalafkizi, Tunga Chimalunel, Shalafkizi, Abu Huede, Stazakayan. Momi to Tizari Bonakabonaya Duega. Momi Humanza Hui Lezit. Ubanakan Bonaiskin, Pomazulagidari. Momi Puldos Puru Hoyalis, Makakin. And Patzizakin in Bonayan. Aquilen, Agiltezan, ma Hudali Hishaga Ma Hosan, Hishagit Fulduigo, or Nagiltezemaran. That's what Ben's talking about. Isti Shalafkagi, who's a Choik Sakti Huadi, Lizizi, Dakshabarlin, in Lihabu, Oshabarlin Maus and Oshabarli Duigo, or Nagiltezan. It's just like we was with him. Madabuidan as a down in Alabama. When night in 2014, Horseshoe Bend, Amistelge, Tibogalako Hayagade, Sulejin, Marabui, that Imboyevix that I could feel it, Kilkozin. Moy Nini Ofulari Mausan Ofulin, Egan Ofulari. Moy Amoy Madar and Ben Bonais to Irundo. Onga Nagin decided that Nagin Gitleyas Noad, you just go back to the nature, and that's where we're going to get our knowledge and our wisdom. Madamahaho Ediduan, Okto Idundun. Either the Nagiagilesko Zaksana, Nagides, Chibusogides, Naxigezagadi. Anything you'd like to say, maybe from some knowledge that you had gained from discussions with your grandparents, and it doesn't have to be spiritual, it can be just history or something like that.
I don't know that what I'm about to say is so much knowledge that I've gained from them, but more or less regret, I guess, because both my grandparents, Yana and Tony Factor, were fluent speakers. My dad was a fluent speaker, and as was my other family. Most of you know Amos Tiger, used to be the minister, the pastor at Hilltop, and his wife, Julia Wise. I've got a big family too. But I regret that I never, and even though my stepmom, Susanna, I think I look at her as a trailblazer in language preservation, because back in the 70s, when it wasn't cool to be Indian, she was already out there making curriculum to help us, and to encourage us to learn our language. The one thing I did gain out of that is she encouraged my abilities to draw. She encouraged me to follow after my dreams in the arts, and for that I'm grateful. I do regret that I didn't learn to speak the language more fluently. I sit here and I listen and I can pick up words, but because I've lived on the other side of the river for so long, I think I know more Chickasaw now than I do Seminole. And I really, truly do regret that, because my children, who are enrolled members of the Chickasaw tribe, are also by blood Seminole. So I really, truly do want them to know about their Seminole side. I always tell them about their clan and how it's important for them to carry that on, because my husband doesn't even know his clan. And so I tell them, you remember that, because that was something important my family carried on all these years through each generation, so you remember who you are. I try to tell them to learn as much as they possibly can, even from their Chickasaw elders, because their grandma was Pauline Walker, who was a Chickasaw elder, and was very, she was very, also another person in the Chickasaw tribe who encouraged the young people to learn about their culture and to learn about their language. And she was also a master language artist in their programs. I think Clovis and some of your friends, Delaney, knew Pauline very well. And so I guess I'm very glad to see programs like this where I wish there were more young people here today. You know, I really, truly wish they were here to absorb all of this because they're really missing out. And I don't know how to explain that to them because one day they're going to reach a point in their life where they're going to look back and they'll feel kind of like I do. I wished I had paid better attention. I wished I had learned more. But I am grateful for what they have taught me because they have taught me a lot. My dad and my mom always were sharing things with us about our culture. You could walk into our house and it was like a museum. My mom always had artifacts and things hanging on the wall. If any of you have been there, I know Joe was one of my mom's students back in the day too. She had things, you know, on the wall. She had Kelly Haney's hanging on the wall and AC Blue Eagles and some of the other well-known Native artists who I admired and who inspired me as an artist. So I just wish, you know, that there were more young people that were willing to come. And so I try my hardest, even as a cultural instructor. You guys, come on, come listen, come join us. We're going to have this event, come join us. And my family didn't participate in stomp dance. They were church people, you know. And my grandpa, one of my uncles, Homer Marthalee, was the pastor at Cold Springs Church. I have family members who belong to Tom Barrett. Minnie Springs was my cousin. Middle Creek number 2, my auntie, Christine, still goes to church there. So, I mean, we were brought up in church, but we also traditionally stomp dance people. So even though my family wasn't brought up that way, I still have my children I want them to be knowledgeable. I want them to know about it because that's who they are. So we still participate, maybe not in a ceremonial ground, but they are learning about it. They're acknowledging it. That's part of who they are. That's part of their history. So I want to encourage you because what you're doing today, sharing your stories, even if it's a story about growing up, because I love hearing those stories. You know, I wish my dad was still here. I regret that I never recorded the stories he told me about growing up in Limestone, you know. And hopefully I'll be able to corner Walter someday and get him to tell, because Walter was our storyteller. And if he preaches anything like he used to tell us stories when we were younger, he's funny. He's a funny guy. He makes you laugh, but in a good way. And he makes you feel good inside. He's a good guy. They were. You know, I used to go to Seminole Nation days, and I'd get out, and I took a Stedke friend with me one time, and they go, "There's so many people here. How are you going to know where your family's at?" And I told her, "Just stand still for a minute." And then I heard this laughter, and I said, "That's where they're at. That's where we're going to go." And my uncles and my dad, they were all there. And I said, "That's how." She goes, "That's funny that you knew that." And I said, my family was always laughing. And that's a good thing. You know, they were always making fun of each other and laughing and having a good time. But I wish you guys would do more of this. I want to ask you guys to do more of this. And hopefully we can get more of our young people to come.
Thank you, Gwen. You know, and Walter was here last time at our last meeting, and we couldn't get a hold of him this week, or I couldn't. And oh, okay, yeah, I tried to call him and couldn't get a hold of him. But Gwen, I thank you for that. And but don't speak in a spirit of it's too late to do anything about it. As long as you got kids and grandkids, it's not too late to do something about it. You were talking about we weren't ceremonial ground people, we were church people. There is as much tradition and culture in our Muskogee churches. And I said Muskogee churches. There ain't no Seminole churches, there ain't no Creek churches. When we come together on Sunday, it's a Muskogee church. Nobody says Seminole sit over here, Creek sit over here. We all sing hallelujah together. You know, it's the same that there is no tribal affiliation when it comes to our culture, our spiritual side. When you go to New Tulsa, there ain't no Creeks and Seminoles out there. We're all Muskogee. And so with that in mind, because you weren't raised ceremonially, that you have as much culture and tradition being raised in the way you were. How come mom and dad, or how come grandpa and grandma, how come the ladies sit over here and the men sit over here? You know, how come these deacons got these canes over here? And how come they have women's leaders over here? And we have so much tradition in our churches. A few of them are getting away from it, but our Christian churches, there's so much tradition involved in those that are directly connected to our traditional religion, you know. And so my grandfather always told me that people think that our people before Christianity, before the white man came, our people were lost. He said, no, no, no. He said, if you believe that, then you believe that God turned his back on our people for centuries, and he did not do that. He brought us what we needed. We had spiritual provision in our traditional religion. He said, Jesus Christ was brought to us to give us eternal salvation. But he said, don't believe that God didn't love our people and take care of our people. So with that, don't think that because you weren't raised that way that, you know, you're not as much, or you're as rich culturally as anybody is. So keep it up with the kids. Keep it up with your kids. And to all of you, the next time we meet, and I think we're going to talk about maybe quarterly, next time we meet, try to bring your grandkids. Try to bring your nieces and nephews. Jerry brought his granddaughter and great-granddaughter with him today, and I'm proud to see that. Because that's where we're going to start. The next time, maybe a few more. Next time, maybe a few more. And then we'll get this thing rolling. Thank you, Gwen. Anybody else?
Like you're talking about, cultural, traditional, that's why I stopped dancing church. I manage it afterwards to do no stories and madam, I guess you'd say love. I know it's like it.
Jesus Christ so there's no difference.
See, my ceremonial grounds, maka puma hoidi pul biskusi fulia nagin tin homejigut. You hanui chocolate full laction tin homejigut and ian gijit amalga takabokat isti takabokat machina gegi umalgados so tin homejid nak magi yada full nak chigudos mahoge po-headed and then my dad he told us that you'll know when your calling is. Then said get an alitun to this and hada chimwe unit ayat get to the men to what's if you need to go start going to church, if that's your calling comes. And he never, when we were younger, he never told us not to go to stomp dances. All it, keep it afterwards. Madam Moon, Chinagegi Sulgi Fulidindos, and manage it afterwards as Mahogin, Moit, Pujulagidi, Oidindos. So a lot of, even my own cousins, my first cousins, they were against their ceremonial grounds, but they weren't brought up in that. But I was. And we, most of our other cousins were, we were always raised together, first cousins, second cousins. We was raised close. And to this day, we visit each other. And, stibilegit fully dui. And that's just like your dad, Newman, and them. We was close to them. And stibilegit digos fully dumats, Nai tijarin bonong punai hoin. So moin chahok dala din dos, moi timasi a zika ojat said nagin tin humi jungut ahlichats tinugijit timbunayat tijari din dunuat imbunayat ahto chaskili chisukunis toesen azikia digoses azikit a little do is mak moin pumasihoyat bullheaded, and I thought I'd just kind of add that a little bit in there.
Newman Newman, I didn't know him too many years. I just like 10 years, 10, 15 years before he passed away. But, I know a lot of people, and sometimes you meet somebody that just sticks out. He stands out. Very charismatic. Newman Moydium, that's the way I knew him, and very charismatic. And so whenever I'd go somewhere, if I seen Newman standing out there, it just kind of lift my spirit up a little bit, It makes you feel that much better about them, So I wanted to say that. Well, I thought the world of Newman and Susie and them. I never knew your mom, but Newman and Sue.
She was, her name was Winnie Mae. She was Amagine Tiger. They were sisters.
Okay.
And Amagine was married to my Uncle Barney.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of weird.
I know. Hey, we all got those.
But state panon hayim onahe then stija bonaga when bonahe. When I was growing up, my grandma Emma, so Coker, wanted to make sure that we knew both sides of our heritage, our culture, the ceremonial ground side and the Christian side, because the ceremonial grounds was the beginning, and it's like the Old Testament in the Bible. And so anyhow, our grounds was at New Tulsa, like I said earlier, and Grandma's uncle, Willie, was a medicine man there. And I have an old photo of him sitting in a chair and looked like khaki shirt and trousers and a hat. But you learn a lot being in the ceremonial grounds. It's just like being at church. Like Dolores is saying, you learn to be respectful of one another and help one another out and love one another. And that you all have appreciation for each other, and you tell stories on each other, funny stories about each other. And throughout the night, those protocols there, as to what takes place throughout the evening, where you have the, I call Miko Dulaso, the speaker for the grounds, and then, whenever we would dance, there were restrictions, for pregnant women or women that were under moon not to get within the dance circle. They had to stay outside the dance circle. And back then, they didn't allow non-Indian people to dance, and they didn't have the light out there either on the grounds where people could watch, and they never did allow them to take pictures or anything. Then when you entered the grounds, they used to have men with flashlights check the cars to make sure that nobody brought any alcoholic beverages or anything to the grounds, too. So everybody had to be clean and clean mind and thought and heart whenever you came to a ceremonial ground. And just like when you go to church, that you need to leave your, any anger or disagreement you might have had with somebody outside, And but I remember one time when we had gone to New Tulsa. The next day was our communion at church, and so we left early that night and went home, slept, then went on to church the next day. And so Pastor Amos Tiger was leading the lions out of the church, because we always had the right hand of fellowship when you come out of church, on a communion Sunday. And so there we were, and my younger brothers had been dancing all night, not all night, but most of the night, and at the ceremonial grounds, and they were dancing in single file. So when we come out of the church, my middle brother, I guess he forgot where he was at. He come out of church and go, "Hee-yo." Boy, my stepfather grabbed him and took him aside, and Grandma said, "Hey, iyo ko na iwid." Man mo is moin, ayun, moin is the walgan a lakwajin, asket, is the walgan anogitska, mon ojin, man fulla na gidundos, ayun, nak is the nak just gently nak unlabi magda, moin Jimmy Horton these stairs. More to get there to go chinda, more to get there to go don't know ad, in Tabaki go, not get to go, embonai the lunch you don't does, Margadoman. And that's the thing that has stuck with me, because, having respect for everybody, from the youngest to the oldest, and talking to people, even though that, that you may know that they, may not like you, or maybe don't agree with some of the things that you have said or done, but, you just go ahead and go on, that's them. You don't have that feeling towards them, that anger or anything. And, man, nagidi, hubuslinga mahogama, more milkira oji, having forgiveness and alakwitska, respect, anogitska, love. It's the enemigo zabin. Aranchidondos, mahogadumas, because one of these days, my amigos upgo, we might need prayers ourselves, So, always have a prayer in your heart, and, that's the way a person needs to go. And that's what Grandma used to tell us all the time, I said prayer is everything. And so, you've heard Leon Bell, talk about, how the cedar trees, the shape of the cedar trees are like your palms, your hands, when you hold them in prayer. And the cedar is used on the grounds, and there's just so much that you can relate to on some of the things between the ceremonial grounds and the church, because as to how it's designed. The church ground, with the facing the east, and then you have the campgrounds, circling the church, and so, Stahikis, they talked about us being paganistic because we danced around the fire, and the fire brings us warmth. It helped prepare our food, and that. The elders used to say that the smoke, takes our prayers up into the heavens to the Father, to Bomokfanga, So there's just a lot that you can see the parallel of Christianity and what goes on in the ceremonial grounds. If you just take a look at it and start writing things down. And I think that Leon has explained this quite well when I've heard him to speak, at different events. But I just wanted to share that with you all. But
Chief Ella, I got to know Ella for the very first time when she was elected. But as soon as I met her, I felt a familiarity with her, and I thought, that woman, I don't know, when you meet people, sometimes they have that effect on you, just like your dad. When I met Ella, there was something just so familiar about her, and seemed like we just hit it off right as soon as we met. And we've been great friends ever since. And part of it was the fact that I have a great admiration for Marion Beaver. And while we was at work one day, I was in my office, and I said, golly, Ella reminds me of Marion Beaver. I don't know why. And here she's Seminole, Merriam's Creek. And I had to tell her, I went to her office, I said, Chief, I got to tell you something. She said, what is it? I said, you remind me so much of my former boss's wife. And he said, who? She said, who's that? I said, Marion Beaver. She said, that's my first cousin. No wonder. Anyway, and I always have. I've always admired Chief Ella, and I think that I really admire the fact that she has such a great knowledge, not only of our tribe but of our culture, and I really like that. That's pretty good for somebody married to Stehitke man, ain't it? Delois. Oh yeah, they could make a connection there. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
One time, whenever I was dating my husband's name is Tim Postoke, and he's a Chickasaw, Mississippi Choctaw. Yeah, a lot of people know my husband because he was a good football player back in the day and could run track. He could beat anybody, they say. So anyway, when I first started meeting him, No, he slowed down by then. I introduced him to my Uncle Walter, and my Uncle Walter wouldn't let go of his hand. He kept saying, Tim Postoke, where are you from? And he kept saying, from Allen, where are you from? And who's your people? I mean, he gave him the what for and asked him everything, and he finally let go of his hand, and I was like, okay, you got the stamp of approval there, so it's good. He let go. But it's funny because Tim, his family, even though he was brought up in a Methodist home, very cultural, I guess he hadn't experienced a lot of some of the things I had growing up culturally. And I remember the first time I took him to church, my uncle was the deacon, and I was trying to go sit down, and I said, let's go on in. I didn't warn him about nothing. I figured he knew all about it. I didn't warn him about nothing. Figured he knew. We went in, started walking. I started walking to my seat to go sit down. I turned around, and he's behind me, and my uncle's chasing him down with his stick, poking at him, telling him, you got to go sit over here. And he just looked at me. He didn't know that they were separated. And he said when he sat down, he was sure mad at me because I just sat there, kept thinking, why didn't she tell me this before? And another time we had gone to church, and he just kept talking to somebody, and they were laughing, and he just kept talking and talking. I kept going, shh, 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 because they were ringing the bell, and I kept trying to get him to be quiet, And then afterwards, I had to share a lot with him. And as we were courting and dating, one of the things I remember he telling me was, I'm really glad that God put you in my life, because there's a lot of things you share with me that I knew but I didn't remember. I didn't know people still did some of these things today. And he said, and I feel like I lost who I was as a Native person. And he said, because I don't do some of these things anymore. And I for me, a lot of those things were just like breathing. Yeah. It just happened. It was just part of who I was growing up. It's what my mom and my dad and grandma and all of them shared with us. And so I just couldn't imagine not knowing some of the things that I do know. And that's why, like you said, it's so good to hear these stories, sharing it.
Thank you, Gwen. Whenever that name Post Oak comes up, it used to be that when somebody said Post Oak, they was talking about Choctaws, but there's Post Oak Seminoles, Post Oak Creeks, and Post Oak Cherokees, and those Post Oaks, they get around. And I got kinfolks named Post Oak, and some of my cousins are named Post Oak. So your uncle was being cautious for a good reason. Yeah. I was thinking about these meetings, and I know that this was very short notice. I only went to work here 2 weeks ago, but I told Joe, we got to get one of these off before it gets too cold, or else, and he agreed with me, and the guys agreed. So we brought this together a little hastily today, but I'm kind of proud of the way it turned out. I think we did real good. I would have liked to have seen more people here, but I think that's going to happen. I got phone calls from people and text messages from people that wanted to be here, but for one, it was short notice, and two, they had a doctor appointment or something like that today. So next time we're going to have better, we're going to be better about getting this out. Another thing I'd like to share with you is that we this week went and did a part of the broadcast for the Seminole Nation radio show. The last 10 minutes we did in the Muskogee language. If you all remember, Chief Ella, I used to do the radio show, and we did half of the show in the language, and we got a big following by doing that. And then when I left, everybody said, why don't you come back and do it on Tuesday mornings? I said, well, A.D. Ellis won't let me, or else I'd be glad to, but now that I'm back, we're going to be doing part of the radio show. So Tuesdays at 11 o'clock, is that right, Joe? The last 10 minutes that we're going to do in the language. It's hard to get much information into 10 minutes, but we're going to do what we can. So y'all tune in, and we'll also be announcing these meetings and things like that. Does anybody else want to share something, or did you have something on your mind, Joe?
Panayat Scott, mat moin ponira chayaston, mat hadi kita gorong doesen, mat simahayet nak solgin okonayet mabohejet man matotatis goet man ok mafatsan I does moesen mat miglishi poneren. Ashton, we are going to lose our language if we don't all get involved. One of the things that I want to look at is that maybe you can become a mentor for somebody who already knows a little bit, maybe can't put the sentences together. But moin kitas kinoat man, emanages kin man punaiden heathen punaiden. We need some teachers. We need teachers who can teach, and so I was certainly glad that Edwin came on board, and we kind of reserved a spot for him, to be honest about it. I didn't want nobody else because I had seen Edwin work and the way he talks and the way he does correct me, and I need to correct him sometimes. But I'm so glad that he's on board. Delaney, the work effort that he puts forth to learn the language, I'm glad he's on board. And Jeremy, well, I'll just leave it right there. No, but the way he works, his mind is always going. He's always thinking about something. Let's do this. Let's do that. It's an outage, but he's been really good. We got a really good team here. More than anything, we covered your prayers. And one of these days, I think we can get this language going again, and maybe we can have lots of people talking, and that'd be our goal. That's our goal. It's not about me. It's not about anything that we're doing. It's we want the language to get going again, and so. I say don't know what man. I'm the Hagitskin man. I want to tell a story. I don't want to tell it in English because not everybody could understand. I probably couldn't carry this story anyway. But when I must have been about 9 years old. We lived in one of those. My aunt's house, Andy Kuhn, who just got. She lived southeast of Seminole, had one of those Indian houses that kind of looked like it was a big house with like 3 bedrooms and a big front room, big dining room, big back porch. You know what I'm talking about. And so anyway, he was real strict with us, and he always told us not to slam the door, not to, a lot of things, So one day I came running up the porch and pulled the door open and slammed it, and there he was sitting there watching me. He said, okay, he said, you know the rules. He said, you go get you a switch. And I said, okay. And so I went and got me a switch, and I come back, and he said, you know what, I've been thinking about this. And he said, if you can get away from me, he said, you don't have to take your whipping. And so I thought about it. I was standing there thinking, which way am I going to go? Gajo man bokit man out there by the corner of the yard, and so I thought, if I make it to that blackberry patch, I can get away. So anyway, I stood there for a minute and took off, shut that door, and pushed it, slammed it again, and went down the steps, and I got almost to that blackberry bush, and the bushes, He caught me by the back of the shirt. So he said, okay, I caught you. Let's go back. So anyway, so he said, this is for slamming the door. So he whipped me, and then he said, this is for running away from me. Then he said, and this is for getting caught. And this is for slamming the door the second time. So I thought, next time I'm going to have a better escape plan. So I want to turn the time back over to Edwin. This is Edwin's program here. All of the guys, they specialize in different things, so I let them work, and that's less thinking I have to do and everything else. So I'm really proud of my crew. I'm really good crew. Mado.
Mado, Joe. And thank you for the opportunity of letting us do something like this. I think it's very unique, and I've already got comments from, we're not competing with anybody, but I got comments from over up in Okmulgee, and man, I can't believe y'all are doing such great things. I wish we would do something like that. I didn't say nothing because, we're all going for the same result, and we need to perpetuate our language. And so I want to say that, I hope everybody's successful in doing that. This is our approach. This is one of our approaches. And we hope that, we can do what we can. There'll be other activities going on along with this. Like I told you, we do the radio show. We teach the classes up in town. And pretty soon we're going to be formalizing some curriculum for some of the teachers that want to use materials and things like that. And so those are the kind of things we're going to be doing. But before we dismiss and go away from here today, I'm going to borrow a practice or a tradition of our traditional churches. Right behind here, let's all go stand in a circle, and the ladies over on one side and the men on one side, and Jokun hilin yahegidonga yahegida pomalejichin. Let's all have a hand of fellowship, and Tlispo inoad megusapkan hahi timowahi tuagahi.
Saba, ito yatsa.
Ayo,